Hello, everybody. It's Michael Jago with Unleashing Intuition Secrets, joined once again by Rafael Conquista.
Hey, brother.
We have a new China bioweapon, a fungus among us. What do you think about that? Because they've been pushing it. I think a lot of this stuff is like AI, false narrative stuff. And we have to be careful going forward because they can just create. We saw this. I saw this and pointed out with Kamala Harris. She would have crowds that were so, but they would use AI to make them look huge.
Yeah.
And they can definitely do the same thing with a new corona. And with the new corona, they could have people. They started the show in China, the fool us on the first bioweapon. I think are very, very possible and highly likely that with the next bioweapon attack that I predicted long ago, that a lot of people are saying it's going to come in July 4th, that it will be a lot of AI stuff. What do you think?
Man, I haven't thought of that, but just the fact that we've been kind of living a lie about the whole narrative for a long time. The AI makes sort of advanced warfare. It makes good sense. And this particular, like the Chinese couple that's now big news, I always have like tons of questions because the narrative is here's the information and basically then we have to sort of pick it apart and decipher and try to understand it. But it could be nothing at all. And I think like COVID, it could be nothing at all except continued fear porn. But I think, like your show, staying vigilant, diligent, just trying to discern the truth out of all the lies, because, man, they've controlled the narrative for so long now. And I think they're losing control over that. But regarding this specific, like mold toxin that supposedly was brought into China and released, or maybe released, they were working on it from China. It also increases that China war narrative, which is they've been building on now for probably a couple of years or longer. But so we're always, wanting to find out in the energetics of things, what's happening. So when they leave these samples, we never know that the samples on the screen are accurate or what it is. It could be just something they pull out of their lab. Which, a quick side note, whenever they're talking about these Chinese that are working like at the University of Michigan lab, like, where do they come up with these people? Like, it's almost like another one of those FBI, made for television terrorists, like all the shootings and stuff like that. It's like, is it even real? And why are these people allowed to work in biological weapons grade laboratories without what kind of background checks and all that stuff? So the narrative is definitely really at question. But then sort of we try to discern what's happening. So that is it going to affect our lives and that kind of thing. So we always will do a screen test because the energetic in the quantum forensics is so incredible. Mm. And these were definitely mold toxins, and they were highly pathogenic. So what we did was we went in through this muscle test, and I'll usually do a sequence to liver first, heart, pituitary, things like that. And then what nutrients will restore coherence or help the body to overcome it. And that was really exciting because it only took one in this case. All right, so we took all the mold samples from this screenshot of this Chinese couple. I think the media had 3 or 4 samples that they showed in images. And then that's like they're leaving their doors wide open to us in the energetic dimension. So we're able to test the photon reflect, the photon image, and to see what the energetic signature is like. And so we used the ultra cleanse clay, and it brought all of the samples coherent again. So classic mold, at least the images were honest. And it was definitely a type of mold spore that could have been toxic to crops and anything living, of course. So, but that was really fascinating. And so that's going to be our special for later on today, because I didn't want to just limit it to what the Chinese act of terrorism might have been, but the fact that in the chemtrails that they've been spraying us for a long time, I've contended for a long time that there's a sort of a bacterial mold that I've seen for 10, 15 years that I would label as a mycoplasma, like pneumonia or other forms of mycoplasma. And they're gateways. It's a super toxin. It could be infectious, but it's a gateway to other worse infections like pneumonia or TB, Ebola-like symptoms, or all kinds, just a host of different symptoms, especially because a lot of us have chronic illness already, and it's a new layer of attack. So I always I love looking at this stuff, even though I hate it. I love it because of the energetic tests that we're able to perform on it. And sure enough, this was a mold that they promoted, and definitely another bioweapon. But of course, Michael, they don't talk about the fact that they're spraying mold on us every day in especially California, in the aircraft emissions, the chemtrails as well.
Well, here in Florida, we have a citrus blight, and it's got a Chinese name. They call it Asian blight. It's white. It's 90% of Florida citrus trees have it.
Really?
You can drive through in the middle of Florida when we usually drive from coast to coast. Sometimes we go through the citrus groves or see them, and there's some that are like just completely devastated, and then you see some that are completely intense as far as you can see, and those are the ones that are healthy. So they completely have to be intense now.
So are they growing them intense, or are they fumigating them? Okay.
They're completely growing intense. If they get exposed at all to the outside world, it's like that. Those people in bubbles, they have to be in a bubble because they get exposed to anything, they'll die. It's the same thing with a lot of Florida. Florida used to have back in the day, when we were kids, everybody drank Florida orange juice orange juice in the morning. That's right. 270 million bushels, I guess, or whatever crazy number used to go out from Florida every year back in the 70s and 80s. Now it's down to 12 million. And last year it was almost 18 million. So it's down 5-6 million just since last year because of, Hurricane Milton, and then this Florida, they call it the green fungus or something like that. But I talked to a guy and he says, yeah, we think we got bioweapon from China.
Yeah.
And so it's, they've been at war with us for a long time.
Yeah.
They're not going to invade our country. They're just going to do all these bioweapon attacks, Wuhan flu, and this new blight that we're trying to bring in. The Florida citrus groves are down, hundreds of millions of bushels from what they used to be. So quite a thing we're going through right now.
Yeah, definitely attack on the food supply. And like the article pointed out with this, this Chinese couple at the University of Michigan, is that this very thing, like this mold would just be contaminating everything. So like, where did the Florida citrus mold come from? And I have no doubts that it was either in the pesticide sprays or in the aircraft aerosolization, the chem spraying. And that's what I've seen for a long time, because we could test water, soil, and everything, and it has this mycoplasma, this fungal contaminant in it. And gardens, it's really a struggle. We'll have like a blight on like a zucchini plant. You know how they have those really cool, really large leaves? Mm-hmm. There will be like a white film on those, and all kinds of garden plants. Particularly vulnerable are the garden plants. But it's been going on so long now that even the trees and stuff are affected. Nothing's like thriving like back in the day.
Yeah. Now up in Australia, not Australia, up in Canada, they're looking at, because I was thinking of like the emu that's in Australia and the ostriches and so forth. But they have ostriches up in Australia, and they're using them for a study, because ostriches have been around for, millions of years. They survived, when the dinosaurs got wiped out, the ostriches are still here. So they're quite adept at, blights and bacteria and all that kind of stuff. So when a lot of birds and so forth have been, succumbing to bird flu, whatever they've been trying to kill the birds with, they have they like overcome it like in a generation. So they've seen this, like if the moms are infected, then the offspring don't have it.
Wow.
So, and it doesn't matter what it is. They can be infected with something and the next generation doesn't have it. The babies might get it, and when they produce, their babies don't have it.
Okay.
So they've been studying them, and Canada has decided to, this study herd that they have, they're going to do away with them because it doesn't fit their narrative. Because the narrative is you get sick, you get vaccinated.
Yeah.
You can't eat any ostrich eggs. You can't eat emu eggs because they're going to cure you. So, because what they found is not only does if one of the offspring is born and has overcome some kind of disease or something, if any other animal eats the egg, then they get resistance. Wow. So Canada and their infinite wisdom are going to do away with this herd, because this herd is, like I said, hurting the narrative that they're wanting to create.
Yeah, that would be a perfect part of their narrative. Nothing helps except getting vaccinated.
Right.
I.e. bioweapon you. Yeah.
Yep. Reduce the population, control the population, transhumanize the population. It's insane. It's quite a war. It's not only a war with China, but we also have a war with our crazies that are here. And maybe that's why China wants to go to war with us, wipe out the crazies that are trying to wipe them out along with us. So it's crazy.
No, that's such a good point, because that's one of the things I've seen in the scripture, where as like the Trump administration, and I got a prophecy I'll share with you in a little bit, as the Trump administration sort of is exposing all of this stuff that I see in the scripture, calling it, I'm going to lift the skirt over your head and expose all your parts. Basically, one of those things is this very narrative that that there is, we call the deep state, that these people have like overtaken us, have come in and overtaken us, and for that purpose, to try to kill us. It's a seed line war. We've talked about this over and over again, but that's what they're exposing for us, that we can finally see. Oh my goodness, yeah, this is what's going on. I can't think of another generation, Michael, since I don't know how far back, we don't have much record of it, that understood this very thing that you're talking about, this war from inside and the seed line battle.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. It's a massive blessing to have this at this time of this revelation, to understand it. But men and women, we have like sort of like the ostrich in some ways. We have like an incredible survival, not just instinct, but like our nature, and so like, I'm not sure the ostriches would survive as well as we have, because we've been under attack, like specifically mankind, for a long time. And I always think of Fleming, the guy who discovered antibiotics, who said, like, he told everybody, don't use it. He basically called his own discovery a biological weapon. He said it will lead to the death of mankind. That was his quote. So yeah, we're in it. We're in the fight.
Yeah. And you know, China. I don't think China is a massive threat. I think, and I don't think Russia is a threat. I don't see any other threats out there other than the deep state that's here in the United States. And I'm telling you this from someone that has, been a warrior pretty much my whole life.
Yeah.
When I was a little boy, I used to play with warriors and watch warrior, battles and all that kind of stuff. I was fascinated by it.
Yeah.
So it is part of my, makeup to look at, where threats are.
Right.
The greatest threat to America right now is the deep state.
Right.
And there's no comparison. There's no comparison with any other foreign supposed adversary out there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. This might be a good time to share my screen because I'd love to share this prophecy with you. It's like it's exactly in line with what you're talking about. So let me find this present and go share screen. Share screen. All right, can you see it?
Yep.
Well, this is a little bit King James Version-ish, but I think this is exactly what you're just talking about now. He says, the Lord showed me 4 carpenters. I believe that those are the Trump, and I'll tell you who I think it is. And then he goes, then I said, Zechariah said, what come these to do? And then the angel, or the Lord said, these are the 4 horns which have scattered Judah. Now, so that no man did lift up his head. So they were humbled. They were like having trouble overcoming this. But then he says, these are come to fray them, to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lifted up their horn over the land of Judah to basically destroy it. So basically what it's saying is that at a certain point in history, and I contend it's now because the book of Zechariah was written after Judah had been scattered already. Zechariah didn't come into the land till about 70 plus AD and then wrote his script. So it was for a future time. And I believe that Judah, which he's kind of referring to, are the people of God. And not just the Jews, but like the people, I think the people of God in America. All right, so what I think this is saying is that these 4 carpenters are Trump, and I think probably Bondi, Patel, and RFK Jr. These 4 are showing up to what? To scatter, to fray the horns of the Gentiles. Now I want to show you something real quick because I think this is fascinating too. The Gentile coat of arms goes all the way back to the Assyrians. So I've showed this before. So here's the ancient Assyrian coat of arms. And then here's the Nazi version. It's a double-headed eagle. And then here's let's see, let me find the latest one. This is the Roman Empire and the Vatican's coat of arms, double-headed eagle. And then finally, this is Russia's. And I believe Putin is modern Assyrian. Now, let me come back to this because what he's talking about is that these are the Gentiles that have come in that we call the deep state. And so these 4 carpenters, which I believe are the 4 that I mentioned, are God's people that are here to build. What do carpenters do? They build. They're building the foundation or building the wall to the next stage that we will come in and employ in the future. So one of the things they're doing is they're casting out the horns. A horn in Scripture is that symbol of authority and power. They're casting out the authority and power of those Gentile Edomite leaders. Anyway, I thought you might find that fascinating because I was like, oh my goodness, Trump and these I think of Bondi and I think of Patel and I think of RFK Jr. as being the 4 carpenters. Not only are they revealing everything, like that's so sinister, but now they're laying a foundation to do something different.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting to see what your take is on, Biden. Now Trump has come out and basically posted on his Truth Social account that Biden was a clone, and he was executed, and Democrats don't get it yet. So, so the cat's out of the bag on that.
Oh my
And
goodness.
this stuff we've been talking about for a long time.
Yeah, you have.
But that brings up the robo signature. So you have a dead man that's signing stuff into law. So in my mind, those laws are null and void. Whatever he signed, whatever it was that dead Biden signed, is dead. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, spot on. I think so too. Assuming, like, we could, if we just assumed that he was president, but then he was brain dead and somebody was robo signing for him, then that would mean everything during that presidency would be void.
Yeah.
And it would be a lot deeper than that. It would be criminal.
Sure.
So if it was criminal, which it technically is, that means every law, every bill that was passed by the House and the Senate and everything, and every law that was enforced by the courts or the prosecutors, they would be complicit in multiple felonies, if not treasons, which not only be void, but if we participated by like obeying it, wouldn't we be complicit as well? So that's like,
yeah, I mean, there's a level to what, I think the law pretty much states if you are witting to a crime, then you can be, held accountable. But if you're unwitting and you're part of a criminal activity and have no idea that you are, like if you're working for Google and Google is going through, the internet and, having porno sent to children, which it does, recommends porno type stuff to children, then you could go, well, you work for Google. So you're no. I work for Google, building ads. I don't even know anything about that. Right. So yeah, there's a certain point, I think, where you hold people accountable. Yeah. Obviously, those people that knew Joe Biden was dead, and they had somebody that was acting as Joe Biden, and they were doing the robo signature stuff, those people are treasonous, and those people should be held accountable to the full extent of the law. And that's where we go after that. And then is there, congressmen and women, senators and so forth that were in on this as well? I would say probably. So I think the level of the crime is quite cancerous in the government, and to cut all that out would probably be a death sentence for our government, which is probably a good thing. So we've just built a new one. So I don't know. It's really crazy.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good point, because building a new one is, I think, what that prophecy that I just sort of mentioned is doing. Like, there's a foundation being laid, and the foundation is like, I don't think they're going to get a chance to finish, but I think we are in the future at some point in history, but probably near history, but they're like, at the same time, they're dispersing or causing a fray, fascinating terminology, to the deep state. And we're witnessing that. But on a personal level, like where we live, that would mean that everything that this Biden was robo-signed would be void. So we wouldn't have to participate in any of that at all. And at the same time, couldn't it be that they any money that were collected or billed or charged or anything like that or under that administration would be owed back to the people? I would think so.
Yeah.
Anything
definitely.
that was connected to a supposed law or executive order or treaty or anything that was in that fraudulent robo signing would be not just void, but then there's got to be a penalty to it. If not, they owe everybody back what they took. and maybe penalties at the same time. So would it be sevenfold? How much would they owe you back? I don't know.
Yeah. So there's all kind of different information that's out there. I mean, somebody in the chat spreading that President Trump is dead. So I mean, we all know all these things are out there. That he died in a helicopter accident long ago, and somebody else has taken his place. I don't know about that. I don't feel that, but you're. It's okay that you have your ideas. I think JFK Jr. is still alive, and a lot of people say that's ridiculous. Some people even say that Wino Savin is JFK Jr. I don't agree with that either. But there's all kinds of different craziness that's going on out there.
Yeah.
And is it crazy? I don't know. But it's interesting conjecture. But when someone that's delivering that information is a flake, then everything else that they say is suspect to me. So it is, I've had people attack me that say, and then people follow other people. I'm not going to say names because when I find out that when I name names, then those people come back roundabout and attack me on a crazy, and even try and sue me, all kind of crazy stuff. So there's craziness out there beyond belief. Is it crazy that we're saying that Joe Biden is dead? I think the evidence is overwhelming that he is gone. The guy that played him, or whatever played him, is absolutely not even close to Biden.
Right.
So that was a great reveal for everybody.
Yeah.
But evidently, not everybody gets it.
Right. Yeah. That I think back when they were showing images of the real Biden versus the robo Biden, yeah, it was very obvious. Even though I thought they did a good job, but nonetheless, all of that would be like void, but it also displays like a deeper, incredible corrupt rot that's going on, that's changing now. Like the Trump and the four Carpenters are basically uncovering and revealing so much to us. And, with programs like yours, it's like, it's unstoppable at this time. So it's very incredible time. I'm just like in awe. I can't even keep up with the amount of information that you do, but, so the robo signing, it's got to be void. And also, like, I'll read this Supreme Court case because this is one of the things I think about, just in my own journey. In a case called United States versus Interstate Commerce Commission, the Supreme Court said this, that the courts must look behind the names that symbolize the parties. Now, this is the fake parties, the corporate parties, to determine whether a justiciable case or controversy is actually presented. Now, basically what that means is, so like with Tina Peters or many of the cases we've talked about, if it says United States versus Tina Peters or Granny or whoever it is, the Supreme Court has already said that you have the right and the power to look behind the names to see if there's an actual party of interest that's coming at you. And in criminal cases, I've never seen it happen at all. Like lawyers just bend over and let all of this happen. Like, so for example, what I'm trying to do is just connect it a little bit. So Joe Biden passes a law and it's void from the beginning, but then you get charged with a crime and it says on the paper, United States versus you, and then the Supreme Court said you have the right to know the exact parties that are interested in that name, because the name itself is phony. It's a corporation. It's a fiction. So who are the real parties who are interested behind that name? And no lawyer ever asked that in criminal cases. Now in civil cases, they ask it all the time. So who is it? And a lot of times the case will get thrown out and dismissed because there's lack of standing or lack of an injury and things like that. So it's very fascinating, but it's important for us to know that, hey, we have a right to go in and investigate that. We have a right to ask those questions if they're coming at us with lawfare. it's a critical thing to a critical part of your like early discovery to understand who is interested. And because I contend there's nobody, just paper, and they hide you in paper, or the real interested parties are just the guys that are charging you, and they're the only ones that are interested because they get a conviction, they get a fat check or whatever. Now, I'm not talking about cases where you actually injured somebody. I'm just talking about all these myriads of millions and millions of paper crimes over the years. Anyway.
Yeah. Very good point. So, let me see real quick. So somebody brought this up to me, the Titanic. It's sink day. It sank in the early hours of April 15th. What's tax day? I was like, wow. They F us so many times, so often with this shit in our face.
In your face. You're sunk, baby. You're sunk.
Oh,
wow.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
So I love the people out there that, find that stuff and share it. That's great.
That is great.
Because we get another notch higher on them, because they love to like play with us and joke us. But boy, when we joke them, oh boy, do they not like that. I remember joking them hard during COVID. Oh, they came after me so hard when I did that, but I kept it. I was like, oh, you don't like that? Really? Okay, I'm really going to hit you now. But it's like that. You can't joke them. They can joke us. They love to joke us, and they laugh behind their backs.
Yeah.
But you joke them, oh no, you can't joke a narcissist, and a psychopathic narcissist at that.
Yeah.
You can, but there can be consequences. But because I'm a warrior and they've tried to take me out so many times, I'm just like, what else you got to do? You know better to come after me because I'm protected. And if you do get close to me, I'll kill you.
Right.
That's kind of the way it is. So a lot of us are starting to awaken to that, and that breaks down the system.
Yeah.
So revealing the stuff that we do, especially on this show, is great enlightenment for people, so that they can take that on board and start to sling that back with whatever they want to sling back.
Yeah.
Whatever's loaded in that sling back. I can think of a lot of good stuff, but sling back to them, the stuff they've been slinging at us, and then some.
Yes. Man, the greatest sling back that we can do is just what we're doing, sharing the truth, getting to the truth, and because the truth sets us free. And just thinking of this COVID narrative as we see like this emerging again, like, oh, this new variant that we talked about just last week. And it's fascinating that the very same time of this variant that the World Health Organization also sort of gets their pandemic agreement in alignment at the exact same time. So that's not a conspiracy, of course. But that COVID outbreak itself, as we see the truth that we haven't seen, as far as I can tell, we haven't seen in large part for generations. But as they unveil this and we see the truth, then we can say no to their entire rollout. What are they going to do with 400 million vaccines that everyone says no thanks to? That would be like the ultimate joke to me. Or
yeah, but how are they going to turn that back? They have to, I guess, come out with proof that Joe the first narrative they're trying to push is that he was, senile or whatever, mentally incompetent, and that he wasn't signing those. And it's very obvious because signatures match.
Right.
and his signature never matched because that was not him the whole 4 years.
Right.
And that's been shown very early on. Yet it continued.
Yeah.
And so there was little hints that were going out. Look at this signature and look at the signature of the old Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And then you saw him like falling down and all the crazy stuff. And then there's like, I guess somebody even posted in here, and I remember this, where one of his granddaughters said, "Joe's dead. He's being played by his uncle, by our uncle." So, and there's plenty of little things. Even the guy playing Joe Biden one time says, "I've got cancer," and just recently he came out with not colon, but prostate cancer. Yeah. So, and I guess some prostate doctor was like, "Well, all the symptoms that you have with taking this medication for prostate cancer, Joe Biden was exhibiting those." So all these different things, and mental retardation, all kind of crazy stuff that he had going on. So just that alone, I guess, could take him out. But then, Trump just dropped that one little thing where it's like Joe Biden was executed, and we've had Derek Johnson talked about that, for years,
Right.
and really called that out perfectly. And that's gotten a lot of traction in a lot of areas. But now with the president actually saying it, where does it go in the real narrative? Does it eventually start to come in, start to filter in? It's like now we're saying, yeah, Joe Biden was mentally incompetent to serve. And now are we going to start to filter in Joe Biden that wasn't even Joe Biden. That's massive. That's massive. That means there was a coup.
Yes.
There was a coup
Yes.
in the United States government, and at highest level.
Highest level. Unbelievable. Yeah.
Massive.
So those kinds of revelations allow us, because now we know the truth. Okay, we've had a coup. What are we going to be able to do about it personally on a day-to-day level? How do we live our lives? How does that change us? How do we think about the narrative? Because they continue that narrative, like you just pointed out, that they, oh yeah, well he was whatever. The narrative still says, oh yeah, he was still president, and oh yeah, his signature still was valid. That's the narrative. They want people to think that, oh yeah, maybe he was sick for a few weeks or not competent. So, no, it's like, it makes like, it's huge. Everything's void, not only void, but like what happened to the country.
Yeah.
And so the revelations are just unimaginable. They're so big.
Yeah. But that's really what we had. Now it's just, I don't know that anyone said this before.
No.
But a coup d'etat is typically an illegal and overt attempt by a military organization or other government elites, which we saw, the deep state elites, to unseat an incumbent leadership.
Yeah.
Now they killed President Kennedy. We know that. I've had James Files on who's talked about that. He was basically, sent in to kill President Kennedy, and all the other assassins that were there were told that President Kennedy was a threat to the United States, and they're like, yes, sir, we'll eliminate him then. So they went in and did that, and they went in and did a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
Now I did a show with him last night where he talked about how he was by himself, was dropped behind enemy lines in North Korea at 250 feet. So his parachute going whoop, whoop, and then bam, he hit, and he had 80 pounds of gear because a Navy SEAL squad, platoon, or whatever, was up there, trapped behind lines, didn't have any ammunition or anything left. So he jumped in 80 pounds of it, and they, for 3 days, hid while they escaped. And that's he didn't get a Medal of Honor for that because he was in a secret group that was used by our deep state elite to perform actions against not only United States people, and I guess at some point that's going to come out, that they actually killed people in the United States, because we know there's been huge death counts for the Clintons. There's been huge death counts for people that saw things on President Kennedy during President Kennedy's assassination. So you got up to 100 mysterious deaths for that. You got over 100 mysterious deaths for the Clinton craziness. So there's obviously some group that is assassinating people in the United States. And I believe these people are former military that have been contracted, and they believe that they're serving the United States, the good side of the United States, but they're actually serving the evil side. Right. And that's some of the stuff we talked about last night. So he believes that now, and wow. Yeah, it says a lot of people that have in the military have PTSD and commit suicide because of that, because they know that they were used. Most suicide deaths from the military is from people that realize they were used.
Oh, that's so sad. That's just incredible right there, because that's a deeper level of understanding about who you are and what you did. And I think all of us really wants our lives to be valuable. And when you come to the realization that it was a lie, and maybe you did some things that were like evil, that would be really hard. I can see that. But
I can tell you that I can tell you that everybody that serves in the military does at some point, because you're pretty much serving that side at one point or another.
Yeah,
because it has such incredible control.
I've seen a lot of military guys in my clinic that are just that when we get to that place, because in the health journey with some very difficult health issues, one of the things that we have to overcome is that heart injury, that mental injury of healing and forgiveness and love has to be a part of the physical journey to heal. And we always have to get to that place. And so many of them just would break down and just sob about that very issue, that, oh, they were just used or abused or really injured because of it. And they found out later that it was all just a lie.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's really sad. So, love to you guys, because that's one of the most difficult places, I think, to deal with, that we love you and God loves you. And it's incredible. There's incredible liberty to that, staying in that love vibration in a deep way, a way that really impacts your life, rather than the horror, the guilt, or the shame, the traumas and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to share this. This is a good one in the chat. CR user. So he had a dream. I was in Washington, D.C. at a mansion, which was a kind of cult scene for Obama. And, everyone's dressed in white. Sounds like, some of the stuff we're hearing. Plus, my job was to ask if Obama wanted OJ when he awoke from a nap.
What?
So yeah, OJ's dead, but this is the way the dream world works. You can have because Obama, he and Big Mike, everyone knows.
Yeah.
So he likes men, and so I guess OJ would fit perfectly for him.
What a dream, for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That's good. That's a good one.
So it's just a thought of mine. Do you think probably the coup with Kennedy and it hasn't stopped? It's been like an ongoing sort of corrupt, not just presidential candidates that were illegitimate, but also the election process itself since the JFK, RFK murders. I'm suspicious that all pretending presidents from that time forward were all illegitimate. So,
yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And James Foss talked about how George H.W. Bush Sr. Was the head of recruiting all of these former military guys, many of them Vietnam veterans, had proven themselves in combat and had childhoods that were basically, they were raised to be killers.
Yeah.
And so he recruited them and he took care of them. And for that, he was rewarded with being the head of the CIA. And they named a road in front of the CIA, George H.W. Bush Sr. or George H.W. Bush. And they made him president.
Yeah.
So that's how the deep state rewards you for all those things. So we've heard that that he turned into some kind of like werewolf type being, and just went off on children. They would give him children. I don't know if you've heard any of that, but yeah,
I haven't, but I wouldn't.
Yeah. Why not? Right.
Yeah. No, it wouldn't surprise me understanding what I understand about the demonic dimension. Yeah. What goes on behind, like that song in the 70s, what no one knows what goes on behind closed doors, kind of became one of my theme songs for helping people in their healing process was, hey, nobody knows what happened in your home or your life beyond what everybody portrays and what we want to show people, that there's a lot of evil that goes on. So no, that would not surprise me at all. But I think, it pops into my head again. Like, it's so cool that prophecy that we just looked at, that's like on your show, that these four carpenters, which I'm pretty convinced might be Trump, Bondi, Patel, and RFK, are displacing. That's what the word says. They're displacing these heathen, evil deep staters out of their place. And so that's incredible. As we're watching it.
Yeah. So George H.W. Bush's call sign, Secret Service, instead of saying your name, and same thing in the CIA, like my call sign was Kojak. And so you don't get to choose. The people you work with choose. So Secret Service chooses call signs for people. And for him, it was Timberwolf. So the werewolf stuff, kind of comes into place.
Yeah, no doubt.
Timberwolf. I said Timberwall, but it's Timberwolf in the chat. So there's a lot of, reality does rhyme sometimes with the stories that we hear.
And it's interesting that those heathen that we're talking about, like George Bush, that Freemasonry, their coat of arms is the double-headed eagle also.
Yeah.
So it's showing that, I don't know if my screen still shows, but here it is right there. Can you see it?
Freemasonry, yeah, wow.
And the 33 is a whole another story I'll save for another time. Very fascinating. So it's a location on Earth, but I'll save that for another special time. So I'm back with you now. But it's the same coat of arms as the other seed line, the Edomites, the other ones that I just showed earlier. Incredible. So we've definitely been infiltrated, and that's about coming to an end.
Yeah. And somebody was asking if I did a lollipop like the other Kojak, and it's like, no, I don't do sugar. So, or at least I try not to do sugar. It does come into play sometimes, but so the novel corona outbreak.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, like you say, that it came out right when the WHO gets its plandemic agreement.
Yeah. Yeah. So just display to you more of the conspiracy, because there's, just ask. When the local health idiots start talking about it, just ask. I want to see the virus. We talked about this last week. That Stanford at COVID, Stanford asked for the virus, and because they couldn't find any in anybody. And now we got new variants coming out that are it's a complete fraud. The variants are all complete computer generated. There is no virus at all, period.
Yeah.
I think we've established that. We could talk about the details over and over again, but I think, it's almost like that's over. We just want to watch the progression and what they might be saying and what they might be trying to release. And definitely fungal, the mycoplasma, I think, is a component of what they might be spraying on us. And so that's probably the reason we want to keep an eye on it. Otherwise, their narrative it's almost nothing to us other than just keeping in the know and understanding their war and their weaponry against us is still going on. And I'm, some of it I'm not real happy about, even with Trump recommending, like, okay, we're going to give approval to a new mRNA vaccine. I'm like, nah, that's not for us.
Yeah.
So we'll stay there, and they can have it. They can have both of ours, so they'll be really healthy. Skip it.
Yep. So we got Russia. Basically, they went up there and bombed a bunch of the Russian bombers for strategic defense. So there's going to be some kind of retaliation on Ukraine.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, that's the one I'm really concerned about. It's almost like these same creatures that we're talking about in most of the show, they really want to drag Russia and China into a big fight with us, the people. And like you said, the biggest fight is the one we're doing internally right now. And I don't even think that they'll, I don't know personally what to do about it, other than saying no. And if you're involved in lawfare and learning how to handle yourself, but I think they want to pick another big fight and have another big giant world war. Because what I see, I thought of it this week, Michael, that I remember hearing about the protocols of the elders of Zion. One of the things in that protocol that was sort of the mainstream said, oh no, that was nothing. It's not written by the Jews. It's written by those who are pretending to be Jews, or these same people that we're talking about, these deep staters that are pretending to be leaders and religious leaders all over the planet. That one of the elements of that was that they would create a global environment so that everyone around the world would hate their leaders, so that when they have this big cataclysm, potentially a world war and pandemic and things like that, that everybody would then embrace the coming Antichrist leader who you'll love because you hate all your leaders. So it was like this, another mind F job, another, typical like narrative that they create to get us as sheep, to get us to follow in their direction. And I'm like, no, we're we're over it. But I do see Russia has to do something, and I don't think it's going to be pretty. I think Ukraine is going to be pretty much out of people. They're just going to get annihilated. Like, I feel like I've said this and feel like this for a long time. Like, how are these people allowing or even participating in whatever Zelensky says? Maybe to me, that's a larger like disaster than even the war itself, is the people that are following along with whatever Zelensky says. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think they'll probably target Zelensky. If they can take out Zelensky, that would be the thing. Now on the lockdowns, I think they're going to try the lockdowns again. Now, the lockdowns won't happen if enough of us resist, but the lockdowns will probably happen because there's not enough of us to resist. So there's not enough of us awake. You saw 80% of people got vaccinated last time, and you saw most people did the Nazi. You pushed the Nazi agenda to mask up, and if they saw you out in public without a mask, then the Nazi wannabes, I guess, in society, gave you a hard time. So it is probably gonna. I mean, in some places it's a given. New York, obviously.
Yeah.
Probably Chicago. LA, San Francisco, places like that. But maybe not. Maybe people have awakened. I don't think so. I doubt it. Highly doubt it. But in some places, they won't get away with it. There'll be enough pushback, and if the people really stand up and push back, it'll make a difference. I remember when restaurants opened up. I was in California at the time. I think it was like 2021 early, where they said, okay, you can go to the restaurants, but you must wear your mask. When you're at your seat, you can take your mask off and eat, though.
Right.
And I blew that up on the internet. And I try my best to get up and walk around without the mask and see if anybody would say anything. And no one did. I was like, okay. So I started doing that in airports. I would walk around without my mask. No one said anything. I don't know. Maybe I'm a big guy and I look intimidating and they didn't want to say anything to me. But but I remember going into my kids flew in from, I think they were in California at the time. They flew in to visit me, and when they came in the airport, I wasn't wearing a mask, and I remember seeing everybody in the luggage compartment, the area to pick up the luggage. Everyone had masks on, and then eventually I started seeing onesies, twosies, threesies, and then more and more people started taking their masks off.
Yeah.
And then they made an announcement: you must have your mask on, or you'll be asked to leave, and you won't be able to come back. And some people put their mask back on, but not everybody. So if we just work together and resist, we don't. It's lawless. It's a lawless order to do that.
It is. It really is. And it does. If it worked, that's one thing. I would say if you have like TB or pneumonia, wear a mask. But otherwise you're not going to share any virus because they don't exist in terms of how we've been taught it. So masks are worthless unless you have TB or pneumonia yourself. Then wear it so that it helps to a degree from you coughing onto somebody else. So just remember that. But I don't, if the only other way that they would get a lot of people to do it again, I think you're totally right. Most people are going to do it again, but they need a more lethal outbreak. They really need to have like a serious high community infectious pneumonia or I see that, and I'll address that in just a sec. That's a good point. Or TB or something like that, which is, there's like 3 billion TB carriers on Earth. And if it's in the acute phase, you cough, you're going to share it. So if you've got TB or pneumonia, wear a mask. Now, that's a good point, because if you wear a mask, you're going to increase the risk of infection in yourself over not wearing a mask. So it's probably more than 5 times more infectious within that heat, within that accumulation of bacteria in the mask, and the lower respiration, lower oxygenation, and stuff like that. So makes TB and pneumonia, makes it worse. Yeah, worse, not better. So if you're contagious with TB or pneumonia, then don't go out. But if you go out, wear a mask, because if you're going to cough and stuff like that, you shouldn't be out. Good point, Karen. Love it.
Yeah.
So just say no. And I got a special,
let's talk about specials.
All the way back to the Chinese couple and the mold. So the special, there's a bunch of them down in the show notes, but the top one today is the clay, because that will help remove the chemtrails from the spray, the mycoplasma, the mycotoxins, the fungal, the aflatoxins in your food, in your meat, in your vegetables, anything you eat, you soak it below. And then if you take it in your smoothie, take it in your water around mealtime. If you're out to a restaurant, put a little bit in your water. Directions are on the bottle. But the clay is so profound at grabbing opposite polarity toxins, which is everything, And it's so thorough at that it's such a beautiful front line. It'll be in your humors, it'll be in your gut, and it'll help when it's in your humors, i.e. the water in your body. So it helps grab toxins, molds, things like that, even atmospheric as you breathe them in, your lungs are trying to grab them. These clays are exquisite at removing that. So the clay is the first special this week. And every special this week only, I got something really cool. For every special on the list, we're going to give away a free EMF harmonizer, because the EMF toxins are part of the overtaking of our health and even our governance and our culturing. It's been shown to be not only to be able to have the power to put thoughts in our minds. And so with the EMF harmonizer, we're harmonizing the coherence of these super toxins in the EMF dimension. The World Health Organization just agreed with a study. They did an animal study, Michael, where they studied all kinds of different animals with the EMF, a cell phone EMF, and they found it created cancers in every single animal they studied. All life forms got cancer from the EMF, the cell phone alone. So if you don't have it harmonized, don't even wear it. That's my motto. If they're unharmonized, don't use your cell phone. Put it on speaker and set it on the counter somewhere, but don't carry it or anything like that. So that's the top special for this week. The clay cleanse, everything. If you have some like oral health issues, beautiful. Take the dose, put it in an ounce or two of water, rinse your mouth out with it, put a little bit on your toothbrush, toothpaste. Beautiful for helping detox and cleanse toxins, heavy metals, infectious particles, biofilm. It's just a fantastic, super inexpensive detoxificant. Wash your vegetables, maybe with salt water or vinegar, but detox them with this clay. And like I said, so the video on how to do that is below. It shows you how to get to the navel of all your produce, cut it off, put a little oceans, soak it in clay, and it takes a one vegetable and remineralizes it, turns it into a 10 vegetable. Now this is testable on the Brix meter, which tests nutrient density. So we can take a Brix meter 1 head of lettuce, or a Brix meter head like 1 apple or celery or beans or whatever, broccoli, whatever you're going to eat. It might test 1 or 2 on Brix test. And after we soak it, it's 10. It's incredible. That's how fast that God's minerals will charge something. It's faster than how electricity moves. It's in the photonic dimension. It's so incredible. So these ions of minerals and different mineral detoxifiers are doing what's called a cation exchange. They're actually trading the toxin for their energy. And it's so incredible. So yeah, do that. Don't even eat without it, and don't use your cell phone without harmonizing it. So that's the start. We've got a pile of specials, and every single one of them this week comes with a free EMF harmonizer, which is like, I think they're like $70 by themselves. So that's really, we're excited about that.
Yeah, and the intuitive fermented cardio NF, I got to tell you, that's one of my faves now. I was having like some kind of digestive issues. It just wouldn't go away. I tried all kinds of crazy stuff, yogurt, everything. And then I started, because I was noticing, when I would take it occasionally, that it would, my gut biome did really well. So I was like, duh. So I've been like hitting it. I was having crazy gas and, stomach bloating and
Wow,
just really, really bad. And so I hit the intuitive fermented cardio, and it cleaned it up almost immediately. And then I've been using it every day, consistently, and I haven't had a return of stomach issues or problems. So that's one of the ones you want to have. When you look at the ingredients of it, a probiotic, way over the top. And I like the taste of it.
Yeah, it tastes nice.
Yeah, it tastes pretty good. I just, pour some of it in a cup and with some, filtered water, and I drink it right down. It's good.
Yeah.
Take supplements with it and everything. So it's really one of those ones that you want to have in your kit, med kit, I call it. But it's probably good for daily. What are your thoughts?
We have a lot of people that just fall in love with it daily.
Yeah.
Because the ingredient deck, like when you describe symptoms, I'm because of who I am, I'm always thinking, okay, what was it?
Mm-hmm.
Was it a little bug? Was it a little radiation? Was it a little, just what was it? So I'm thinking about the ingredient deck. It could have been a little detox, could have been so many things, but yeah, I love that. One of the things, probably the main thing I use it for in the clinic and then in the store here, is for people that are having infection and radiation. Of course, like, it really helps the microbiome because it's a pre and post. It's a probiotic, and then it's got postbiotics in it as well. But because we're in this radiation toxicity, like not just Fukushima, but EMF radiation, that it's got that like 5-6 cups of matcha green tea equivalent polyphenols in every teaspoon dose. So it's really, it's incredible. It's one of my favorites too. I love it for guys that are having a little cardiovascular issue because it helps clear the plumbing, it helps clear the crap out of the pipework that accumulates over time or with an infection. So it's one of my favorites too. I love it with a little ice and just sip on it. Sipping is the best delivery because it gets absorbed while it's still in your mouth and in your esophagus, but rather than going into your gut. Lose a little bit of energy of the nutrients absorption when it goes into the gut. So just sort of sip on it, you guys, if you're using it. Yeah, but it's one of my all-time favorites. 100% of the time in infection in the clinic, gut, circulatory, bladder, anywhere in the body, it's one of the cofactors that we use along with the Intuostat. 100% of the time.
Yeah, and I guess because the reason why it tastes yummy is that organic molasses. So that must be it. So Intuitive Cardio, you can go look it up, and it's got really good info on it. So highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Of course, everything in there is good. The Intuitive Immune, I like that quite a bit. Colostrum. So I'm taking that every day. That's on my list of things I like to take. So just go to michaelkjaco.com and then go into the Intuitive. You see the Intuitive Wellness at the top, and just click on that, and that'll take you into the store where you can shop around, look around, shop around. Really good stuff in there.
You guys that were waiting on the microbiome, it's back. And so they had a little sourcing issue, like just slow down in the supply chain. And the collagen is back in the store now as well. And I was reminded to talk to you guys a little bit about the packaging on the shipping. So they're still testing this, and they might do it again to run a test. But when they do the packaging, they put little, really cool little American sort of made stickers and the Intuitive Wellness, the love vibration colors on the outside of the boxes. And they were finding that they were having more and more abuse to the boxes. So they're doing a test. So they're running tests where they're not putting the stickers on for you guys who got used to it. That's why there's not stickers on the outside of the box right now, because they're testing what percentage of the boxes maybe are getting abused when they put these beautiful sort of American, Michael Jaco stickers on the outside of the box. So for you guys who are like, hey, where's those cool stickers? That's what's happening right now. They're doing a little test on box abuse. Like, Michael wants to get the truth out, so he gets abused. Even the boxes are getting abused.
Yeah.
that have his name on it. So sorry
So
about
this is another good one, the Intuistat. So when I'm traveling, you want to have this. This is a really good one. It's got allicin. It's the garlic supplement. So very, very good. I started using this when I travel, like when I used to travel in the aircraft and being around people and so forth. I would, invariably get a little bit of a cough or something. But since I've been using the allicin, I don't have that at all.
100% of the time. That's the one with the cardio that we reach for when you have something chronic going on. No
Yep.
matter where it's at, we want to look at that first, because we believe that 97% of the time it's going to be a bacterial sort of type of infection, whether it's chronic or acute. It's going to be bacterial. And those two in combo, along with what he talked about today with the intuitive immunity and stuff, are going to be 100% of the time for any bacterial infections. Play with your doses. Don't just look at the bottle. So if you're sick and you're fighting something, then play with the doses. Go 6, 8, 10, 12. It's so common for me in the clinic to be using 6 to 24, depending on the degree of illness of the Intuistat, really regularly, to have people overcome that initial push to overcoming a bacterial like pneumonia or even TB, those more severe bacterial infections. Castor oil, yeah. That's right.
An orange juice shot, yum.
We can talk a little bit about castor oil in sort of advanced sessions, but yeah, beautiful stuff. Yeah.
Yep. It's like during the winter, get that vitamin D. So you get it from the castor oil. It's good.
Good stuff.
All right, everybody.
Beautiful.
Thanks, Raphael, and thanks everybody for joining us. Lots of love to you guys. We'll see you guys next time.
Lots of love. Good to see you.